Today we are going to perform the demonstration on Azure file sync. So let me take you through the prerequisite that I have prepared to perform this lab. So here I'm going to create an Azure storage account so that I could create the Azure file share. This one we have already done with this video. So I'm going to talk about, I'm just trying to create the relation as per the architecture that we have defined and what we are doing. So we are going to create the storage account and then Azure file sync service. I have created two VMs. These two will create a simple folder and will sync with the Azure file sync with the first server, and then we'll get the second server inside the same sync group so that we can see that whether the existing data of the second server will also get synced with the Azure file sync or with the main office or the first server. Okay, so this is the storage account where I'm going to create. This is my test VM01 VM. This is my test VM02, and we'll perform sync with the help of these two machines in the Azure, but we are pretending these are the on-premises machine. So let's create the storage account quickly. Give it a name. Let me give it a name. File sync demo test. We need to give it a location. Let me. You need to make sure you have the same location for the storage account and your sync service. Okay. All right. We need LRS to perform this for the lab. That is more than enough. Public endpoint is fine for us. So let's review and create. So once the storage account is created, we need to create the file share. Okay. As soon as the file share is done, we'll create the file sync service. Okay, let's wait. And meanwhile, I can talk about Azure file sync, the prerequisite, the actual prerequisite, the things that we talked about. Apart from that, uh, we need the on-premises machine that we are going to sync. These machines should have the supported operating system. 2012 R2, 2016 and 2019 are the supported operating system. These servers should be connected to the internet, and once we install the Azure sync agent, we register it with the help of Azure. So Azure is needed to be accessible. We need to turn off the internet enhanced security, disable it, and we also need PowerShell AZ module 5.1 and .NET 4.7.2 on these machines, on-premises machines. So this is underway. As of now, if I have to go through the prerequisite, we need file share, we need storage sync service, we need file sync agent. These three things we need to establish the topology. Then we need Azure file share in the same region that you want to deploy Azure file sync. Storage account and file sync should be in the same region. Supported OS on-premises file share server we are talking about, 2012 R2, 2016 and 2019. And server, on-premise server connected to the internet and Azure should be accessible. IE enhanced security should be disabled. PowerShell AZ module 5.1 and .NET 4.7.2 is needed. Okay, now cool. Let's go to the resource, go to the file share, create the file share. I'm giving it a name, demo file share sync. Okay, define the quota. Let's see how much we can define. Okay, so we can go up to 1 TB or maybe 2. Okay, if I click here, you can see 1 to 5,000 GB, like 5 TB we can define. But for now, this thing this quota can go up to 100 TBs. Maybe that is in preview, or I'll check it out and put it in the description. For now, for our lab, we only need a small, let's put it 20 GB. Let's create it. Now, while it has been created, now quickly search for file sync service right here and create it. Okay, sync service. Give it the same region as the storage account. Review and create. Okay. Now it is deploying. All right, cool. Now, while it is deploying, let me talk about. We all know these things, right? Cloud endpoint and server endpoint. Well, we create a trust relationship between on-prem servers and Azure File Sync, and that can be done when we register the servers. So registering your Windows server with the storage sync service establish a trust relationship between your server or your cluster with the storage sync service. Okay, a server can only be registered to one sync service, but you can create as many sync services as needed with different set of servers. Okay, and servers from different sync services cannot sync with each other. So this is like once you hook up with one file sync service, your server would be loyal to that sync service. Would there must be a trust going on between two, and that file server cannot sync with another sync services. Okay, but you can have multiple sync services, you can have multiple sync groups. Okay, and to enable sync capability on the Windows servers, we need to download the agent. We already know that, and I'll show you from where we can download it. And that agent that we download here, this agent has two main components: file sync service.exe, the background Windows service that is responsible for monitoring changes on the server endpoints and initiating sync sessions. Okay, this is what the file sync service do. And we have another component that is storage sync service, a file system filter which enables cloud tiering and fast disaster recovery. So this agent is composed of two components: file sync service and the storage sync service. File sync service is responsible for changes, monitoring changes and initiating sync. And storage sync enables cloud tiering. Let's get back and see. Yeah, we are in. Okay, now this is the sync service, which is the magical resource in Azure and helps accomplish so many tasks and made the on-premises thing so easy. And we already talked about all the benefits in the previous video. So let's go to a few things. Like we have sync group. We need to establish a sync group. So sync group defines the sync topology for a set of servers, or you can say files. Now let's click on the sync group. I don't have any. Let me create a sync group, then you would understand what it is. Let me give it a name. Sync group. That's it. We need to select the storage. That would be the cloud endpoint, if you remember. This is our storage account. This is our file share. Create. So this is actually a cloud endpoint, which is file share. And whatever I'm adding here, I'll show you. Right now it is provisioning. So we have cloud endpoint, we have server endpoint. These two components create the sync group. Okay, and endpoints, this endpoint and server endpoint within a sync group are kept in sync with each other. A sync group must contain one cloud endpoint which represents an Azure file share and one or more server endpoints. Those are your on-premises. A server endpoint represents a path, if I click here, to the registered server. If you remember, I talked about the trust relation. Once we register it, this is what it is. We have not downloaded any agent as of now, so there is no server showing under registered server. This is the path of your file share. It could be D drive, E drive, F drive, whatever drive you have. Okay. We talked about we can create as many sync groups as you need to appropriately describe your desired sync topology. All right, so let me quickly go ahead and show you another points here, another sync group register service. These two things are there in the sync service. We know what the sync group is, made up of cloud endpoint and server endpoint. Register servers become the server endpoint once they register, once they establish their trust. So let me copy the link address to download the file sync agent, and let me go to my server right here. From here I can download the sync agent. But if you remember, I talked about the prerequisite, and which says we also need the PowerShell 5.1. So we need to install the PowerShell module 5.1. Okay. So let me quickly go to the command to install Azure PowerShell 5.1. This is 2016 server, so I know by default if I see PS version table, table version, it's a version table. What happens? Why the tab is not working? All right, okay, that's why. Version table, it's 5.1 already. If you're using 2012 RT, you need to upgrade it. All right, now I need to install the module, name AZ, allow Clobber. That's a simple command you need to run to get the AZ module in your server endpoint or server that you want to register with the Azure file sync service. So I'm just waiting for this to yes. Now it will ask again for A, like for all, and I'll do A for all. It wouldn't take much long and things would be okay. While it is running, let me download the agent. This is the agent, small agent, not a big one. 2016 MSI, you can download it from here. And once it is installed, it will ask for your Azure credentials so that you can register yourself. So it's downloading, now it's running. The AZ module is getting installed. And I have already, let me show you this. Okay, I have already disabled the IE security here, which is one of the prerequisite. 2016 server, so it is a supported OS. Need not to worry about this installation. It is simple. Next, Azure updates for sure. Install. Okay. All right. While it's installing, we need to wait. And we have another server to perform the same steps. And I'll definitely try to do that in the backend so that we'll save some time for you guys. The video will not be that long. Okay, so it is almost there. I hope now this is started making sense to you. if you are watching this video after watching the concept or the theory video or the architecture video of Azure File Sync. Okay. Now, once this is registered, once the trust is created, I'll take you to the portal and we'll talk about the other options that we have to select. If you remember, there was cloud tiering, there was volume free space, those two things. Okay, let's wait while let me give it a pause. Okay, so it is finished. Let me click on that. Now it will open the another wizard from where I can log into my Azure account. You can see right here. Let's click OK. Now this is where we sign in with the Azure credentials, which has the access on the Azure File Sync and the storage account. I need to type in my credentials and I'll be in. So I'll be back. While I'm putting all these things, I'm putting it on pause. All right, now after login, it will show you this window where you need to select your subscription, your resource group, and your storage sync service. I only have one service, so that's what it is. Now register it. It will take a moment and it will try to register. And one more thing, you need to allow the 443 route to your VM. That should be open. All right, now you can see the registration is successful and the network connectivity is fine. Okay, so let's get back to the Azure portal. Right here, this is the sync service. This is our sync group. You can see the endpoint is up and running, healthy, the green tick right here, but we do not have any server endpoints. Let's click on server endpoint. And now here you can see the registered server started showing test VM02. Let's select it. Now it is asking for the path. I need to select any path. So I'll click here, go back to here. This is our test VM. Host name test VM02. Let's create, no, this is my, okay. No. Come on. Sometimes it acts crazy. Okay, now I'm on here. Now let's see drive. Let me create a folder just for the demo purpose. We usually do not have these kind of settings in the production. Let me put it some files in there. File share. Put some files in there. Okay. Now copy the path. Okay. Paste the path here. So this is the path of your file share, your files. Okay. Now cloud tiering. This is what we were talking about in the previous video, and we just little messed in explaining the things because both are almost the same. With the cloud tiering, transfer your server endpoints into a cache for your files in the Azure file share. Okay, so if I enable it, what will it do? Now this is what I was talking about. Always preserve the specified percentage of free space on the volume. So when you enable the cloud tiering, this is what happens. We need to select this as well. And all the data would be there on the cloud Azure file share. Okay. But if you enable the cloud tiering, to keep this space, it will start sending the entire data to the, it will keep the data in the cloud, but not on the on-premises file share, but it will keep the metadata. It will keep the information. If somebody needs that information, it will fetch the data from the file share. Wouldn't take much long. Okay. And you can set it like the hot files would remain on the on-prem server, and the cold files which are not exist so much, like for 30 days or 45 days people are not accessing those files, those would be automatically tiered, means those would not be there on the on-premises servers, they would be only present on the file share. Apart from that, all the files would be on the cloud file share as well as on the hot cache location. Both location would have the files. it means we have two copies of the files. In case of the cold, we only have the one copy of the file on the file share. How many copies file share creates as per their redundancy, that's not the point. The point just to understand the on-premises files, okay? Only cache files that were accessed or modified within the specific number of days. You can specify that. For example, I do 30 days. So any file which is not modified, touched, or opened in 30 days would be tiered. That means only the metadata would remain on the on-prem server and the entire data would be on the cloud file share. For example, there is a folder or file of about like 100 MB. Only 1 MB would remain on the, I'm just giving the estimate, don't take it like exactly. The only 1 MB or the MB which shows the metadata would remain on the on-prem and the entire file would be on the cloud. So that's what the tiering is. Okay, that's what the so these both part of the cloud tiering. So if you do not enable the hot and cache, you do this, only this, 20% would remain always available. That means to make this 20% available, cloud tiering had to happen. Okay, so either you can also go with this way or you can be like this. Okay, so this is what the cloud tiering is. We got the VM, we got the path. Let's create it. All right, while it is creating, what I'll do, I'll go ahead and okay, let me show you this. Okay, let it create and I'll show you the I'll configure the second machine and I'll show you the path where I'm adding different files and let's see what happens then. All right, so the second server is also registered successfully, and now let's create the sync. Okay, it's acting weird. This is actually the problem with the 2016 server. They need some more RAM. Okay, and let me create one more folder on the second server. Let me call it file share 2, and let me put the different set of files here. Okay, let me use my own local laptop, put it here. While it is syncing, let me copy this path. I'll use this path. Now we have, okay, I'll explain you later. Okay, this is the sync group. It says provisioning cancel. That's strange. Who's canceling the provisioning? Somehow it's not able to apply some configuration. That's pretty strange. Okay, no problem. We'll try to check under registered servers. Ah, it started showing the VM2 as well. But for the VM1, let me check the sync group. Now, the troubleshooting is also happening. As always, as I said, if you encounter the issue, that is a good thing. That is actually a good thing. But it's not giving me much of information that I can go ahead and do my troubleshooting. Let me try one more time. It's a generalized error. Management server job failed. I put it in pause and work on it. All right, so I just delete this endpoint and edit it again. It could be because the PowerShell module was not installed properly, or maybe something else. I don't know. The error was not so clear. It was a kind of generic issue, generic error. So I just deleted and recreated it. Now it's in pending VM2 file share. Let me check. Oh, it's health now. It's a green tick now. Let me refresh it here. And there we go. Now let's quickly get back to the Azure file share. Click here. All right, we got all the files right here that we had here in the test VM2. Now what we did, we in the test VM1 we have added a different file share 2 with different files. Okay, I'm gonna add this. It is successful and close this. And PowerShell was done for sure. Yeah, I've checked that. Let me quickly go ahead and add another server endpoint here. Test VM1. That's the path. And you can see uh, this is not showing VM02 anymore because this is a part of the sync group. And I told you one the server could be part of only single sync group. That's why. So let's create it. And while it is creating, let me get back to the file share, and you see these are the same files, but dot system share information is something that was not there. So just wanted to inform you about something about this folder. Let me put it this way: a cloud endpoint. This is a cloud endpoint. It's a pointer to an Azure file share. Okay. And all server endpoints will sync with a cloud endpoint, making the cloud endpoint the hub. All right, if I go here, this would become the hub. These are the server endpoint. This is the cloud endpoint, and this would become the hub so that all these servers would be in the sync with the hub. Okay. The storage account for the file share must be located in the same region as the storage sync services. We talked about it in the prerequisite. The entirety of the Azure file share will be synced. This entire Azure file share would be synced with these servers with one exception, that is this special folder on an NTFS volume. Okay, a special folder, system share information. This will not sync with the VMs. You can see you don't find. Now you started getting the files. This is the test VM 2, and you started getting those files which were new, but you don't see the system share information here. This folder information. Okay, this directory system share information, it contains important sync metadata that will not sync to the other endpoints. Do not delete it. This is very important. Okay, now I'll quickly get back to the sync group. We got one more server, test VM1. This is in pending state as of now, but why it's pending? Because at the back end it is syncing. The file count is very low. The data is in MB or KB. That's why I'm not getting any sync activity. Else you'll also get the sync activity if you have a huge data and the number of files is too many. Okay, now if I go to the file share again, I refresh it. We have all those files which were there in the test VM1. So all become this. Let's get back to this. This file server has different files. This has the different file. Both sync to the hub, and hub has both the files. And these hub will made these servers to sync with each other, and both the servers would have the same files. Let me go ahead and open this. This is test VM1. Okay. C drive, file share 2. We have all these files, right? These were coming from. Okay. Oh, it created one more share here. You see? Okay. Maybe I'm mistaken. This is what we have created, right? These files from the. Okay. No. I just moved it there. Okay. Let's compare with test VM. This under C we have this file share, and these are the files. These were the original files, and these came from test VM1. Okay, so that's how it works. That's how the sync group works. Even if you do not have both the file server in sync, you can put it in the sync just like that. And Azure file share would have all the information right here. You can take the snapshot from here, so the backup thing would be taken care of from here as well. And if you need to get rid of, for example, you need to migrate your file share to the Azure, you can establish file sync. All the data would be on the file share. Now you can get rid of the server on premises, and you can connect this file share to the server in the cloud, or you can directly add the network path to your Windows machines, SMB. All right, well, this is a little demo on Azure File Sync service. I hope this would be informative, and I'll share all the relevant links in the description, and hope this would be helpful. Thank you for watching. You have a good day.